Hi, everyone. Thank you all so much for joining us today. My name is Jessie Grieve Carlson. I use she, her, and they, them pronouns, and I serve as the Manager of External Affairs and Affiliate Relations with NGLCC. Today is a special sip and pitch program where we're going to be highlighting some of our participants from the Own It program. And the Own It program is an entrepreneurial boot camp for trans and gender expansive business owners and aspiring business owners. And NGLCC put this on in partnership with TD Bank, and this was our second cohort this year. This is the final event, kind of like a capstone for our participants. And I'm really excited for them to get to pitch to you all today and present their businesses. So joining us today, we have three amazing judges. First is Kate Goring. Kate is the Manager of Administrative Services and Purchasing Category Management at State Farm Insurance. Thanks for being here, Kate. We also have Jennifer Marks joining us, who's the Senior Program Manager in the Supplier Diversity Program Office at Insight Enterprises. And lastly, we have Sherry Shafir, who is the Director of Supplier Diversity and Procurement at AMC Networks. Thank you all so much for joining us and volunteering to be our judges today. So before we begin, I'm going to read out some ground rules for us. For Sip and Pitch, each company has 5 minutes to present their pitch. We'll have a timer. Our fabulous Lauren Schweppe is here serving as the timer. You can see that Sip and Pitch Friday square on the screen, and she will have a little timer happening. You'll see it. There it is, that 5-minute timer there. So Lauren will give a warning at 1 minute and at 30 seconds. So you'll hear her unmute herself and go 1 minute. So you know how much time you have left. After that 5-minute presentation, judges have 10 minutes for feedback and Q&A. And if presenters don't have a PowerPoint presentation, no problem at all. This is very informal. It's meant to provide real-time feedback for your company's pitch. And in the real world, you won't have a PowerPoint presentation when you're in the elevator with someone pitching your business. So all good here. If you're not speaking, please mute your microphone and have fun. This is a judgment-free zone. When we have our break at 4 o'clock, feel free to get up and get your beverage of choice, as this is Sip and Pitch Friday. And without further ado, I think we can get started. So our first presenter today is Jacob Brestovsky, who will be presenting QueerWorks. Jacob, take it away.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Hello, my name is Jacob Brestovsky. I use he, him, his pronouns, and I'm the founder and executive director of QueerWorks. Some of you may have heard of us as we've been in the news quite a bit lately because we are launching the first universal basic income pilot for trans and non-binary individuals in Palm Springs. But zooming out, QueerWorks focuses on a free mental health program, and we're currently serving 200 clients. We have a housing navigation program, and we've recently launched a rapid rehousing domestic violence bonus. I want to take a second to talk to you about a client of ours, Jack. Jack is a 20-year-old trans masculine individual, and he came to us emaciated and only standing at 5 feet tall. However, Jack has the compassion and determination of a 12-foot giant. Jack was kicked out of his house with 2 siblings, and they were living in the car in 110 degrees for a month until they reached out to us. We began searching for housing, and with a call to action from our community, we spammed Facebook, Nextdoor, and called connections that we knew in the housing and political world. Our most creative method of putting up flyers and asking for landlords at a coffee shop turned out to house Jack. And now Jack is living in a 2-bedroom, safe, very safe area apartment with his siblings, and they're able to go back to school. Jack's now employed. He's back in school. He's stabilized his dietary needs, and he's thinking of going to become a social worker to help others just like him. He also wants to volunteer for QueerWorks in the future. And the reason why I'm telling you this is because Jack's story is not unique. And as we know, individual LGBTQ individuals are 3 times more likely to experience domestic violence than their cis hetero counterparts. And here in Riverside County, especially in the Coachella Valley where we're based, we have 0 LGBTQ affirmative housing for our victims. Our organization, QueerWorks, received a grant for rental assistance for rapid rehousing of these victims. However, due to market turmoil and discrimination, we're not able to find rentals. And our clients have doubled within the last month. Our proposed solution is to purchase property to create an LGBTQ affirmative housing complex. Many properties within the Coachella Valley sit empty, and the availability to purchase a site for our complex is plentiful. However, we don't have the funds to do that. So we're here looking for ways to secure that funding and build capacity for this dream. It's our hope that an organization, a business, or just a really philanthropic individual would like to contribute to this purchase, renovation, and launch of Riverside County's first LGBTQ plus domestic violence housing complex. This is estimated at around $3 million. Once built, QueerWorks has the staff capacity and grant funding to operate this, and we certainly have the client need, with an average of 3 clients signing up for our current program each week. We know that access to affirmative services can save lives, and with your help in building and raising capital, we can get this complex built and thus have a dream come to fruition. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Jacob. I am so excited about this project. I want to learn more, but I will let our judges speak first. Jen, would you like to speak first? Any feedback that you have for Jacob?
Yes. So thank you for having me go first. First and foremost, Jacob, it was a really great presentation, and I loved you starting with a story that matters. A really great example of what can be done when, right, you're bringing together not just the right team of people, but the grant work that you've done and the sourcing that you've done to make a difference. So I really think that that's a powerful start to the presentation, and it brings forward something that's happening in real time and lets the audience know not just about, you know, your example, but that's just one of many examples. I think that from a pitch perspective, when it comes to what you're ultimately requesting, right, in as far as the funding, right, for the actual rental or the property that you want to purchase, is there any more information that can be brought forward, with the pitch being for those that have the funds? So properties, right? Like in particular that you had mentioned, right, that they're being available. Do you have more information on the actual properties to be able to give somebody who, if I were sitting in the presentation and I'm somebody who has a large pocketbook, or I have the ability to fund, do you have more information that you can bring forward that is specific to the actual ask?
Yeah, absolutely. I have a couple that I'm looking at, so I can definitely add that into the presentation. I didn't know if that was like too much, so I appreciate that feedback.
No, my pleasure. I think that you don't want to dive too deep, right? Obviously, right? You know, but I think that giving that group, your target audience, the understanding that you have pinpointed, right, that you have done the research all the way down to the property level, and here's what we're thinking, right, here's where we're mapping, and here's very specific examples of what we're looking into and where we need your help.
Awesome. Yeah. And I think too, like maybe having pictures or blueprints or some sort of draw would be good as well. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
Agreed. You're very welcome.
Thank you, Jen. Sherry, would you like to go next and share your feedback?
Yeah, sure. So I thought that, Jacob, that was an amazing pitch. It was compelling, it was clear, it was concise. You presented data, it was clear that you knew what you were talking about. You made an emotional connection, just to, continue with what Jen was saying, that when you personalize it and tell a real life story, it humanizes it and makes it like, oh, I understand, people have empathy and they want to help. So I thought that that was a really great to use a case study. If you had more time, you could use like a second story, because it could be different, completely different scenarios. One story may resonate even stronger with another, depending on the individual. I thought it was great that it was like a call to action and it was timely. So I really like that. The $3 million I thought was it's a lot of money, but it's doable if you're targeting the entire US corporate organizations. I have one question. Did you say you were a nonprofit or a 401c3?
So I realized that I forgot to mention that at the beginning, and I tried to like sort of bring it back up, but I usually mention it. I am a 501c3, just completely went over my head
They
today.
say
So
401, I took 100 off.
yeah.
501c3, yeah, that's what I meant. Thank you. I haven't said that word in a while. So that's actually could be to your advantage to say that. And I mention that because most corporations have BERGs or either BRGs or ERGs, BERGs, we call them BERGs. And they have money funding that each BERG is allowed to use and align it. So I would start with corporations that have a presence in Florida, so that, that resonates more with it, it's helping their community specifically where they reside, and they can, so that would be where I would start. Anyone with even an affiliate or satellite office in Florida. So there's one major corporation that is headquartered in New Jersey. I know they have an office in Tampa, for example. So, and they're already very much aligned with the LGBTQ plus community. I think, overall, I thought it was really good. And I would maximize the 501c3 status, because people are looking for ways to donate that. And I think that's really good. That was great. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, and I'll make sure I add that. I usually have it right at the beginning, but I didn't bring that over, and I was like, oh no. So if I don't mention at the beginning, I'll make sure to wrap it up at the end.
Nice. Thank you, Sherry. And Kate, would you like to share your feedback now?
Well, thank you so much. And Jen and Sherry hit on a lot of the same points, Jacob, that I was going to hit on. So I won't reiterate those. Although the one I do want to reiterate is that it's a very noble cause that you're pursuing. And I loved just hearing about the idea and how wonderful it is. A couple of quick things. I've been drawn sometimes to people who pitch things to me because they share why it mattered to them, why you started down this path. Is there something personal that made you create QueerWorks, right? So maybe while sharing the story with Jack was hugely compelling, sometimes the people that are going to invest are investing in you and your organization. And so they want to know more about you as well. And so I think that might be something that you could add to your story, and then maybe follow it up, as Sherry said, with the second story being about Jack or another cause. I loved, again, the story about Jack because it showed that you already had some successes in this space, and you wanted this new endeavor. With the stats that you presented proves that there's additional need, and that you want to be able to help more Jacks in the future. And so I loved the connection with those two things. The only other thing that I would maybe add is, we call it a call to action and a pitch to somebody. So ask them if you can I count on you to commit, or can I count on you to be a part of this journey with you? Ask them the question, because you can tell people things and then they go, oh, that's great, that's wonderful, see you later, right? Where if you ask them a question, it puts them kind of in a place to say, well, I need to know more. Can you share more about your plans and the properties? And I need to know a little bit more. Or they can say, you know what, I'm just not interested right now, or I don't have the funds. Or they can say, yeah, I am interested. What do you need from me? Here's my checkbook, right? So I'd say end your conversation with a question to ask for their commitment to the effort.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure if I should have included that like in this purpose, but I will just assume no matter where I am, there might be someone in the room who's ready to whip out that checkbook.
You never know. Yep, you
I'll
never
add
know.
it in. So may I count on you for some? No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, thank you so much. This was really helpful and helps me hone it and craft it a little better. So thank you.
Awesome. Thank you all. And great work again, Jacob. That was great. We are going to move to our next presenter. We have Bria Gates with CMIT Solutions. Bria, take it away.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Good morning / afternoon for everyone here. I'm going to try to share my screen. I believe it says you cannot start sharing. There we go. All right. So we get started. Are you guys able to see my screen? And can you hear me? I don't hear any.
Yes.
We can hear you. Yep.
All right, perfect. Again, thanks to everybody for the opportunity to be a part of the TD Bank and program. And I appreciate the opportunity to speak with everybody. And just off front, I am an introvert, so I will give this a try. And you said it's informal, so all right. So again, we'll get started. So Bria Gates with CMIT Solutions, and I'll start off with our pitch here. Okay, let me go forward here. So my name is Bria Gates with CMIT Solutions. We take the SH out of IT, and that is the stress and hassle. Okay, so we're an IT company that we basically do managed services and IT support and cybersecurity for small and medium-sized businesses. We also help out with IT procurement, cloud solutions, business solutions, working to integrate with the different ERP systems and anything technology. So if you was to envision that, it would be basically 24/7 support of small and medium-sized businesses. If it beeps or if it blinks, we support it from an IT perspective. And we assist clients who have regulatory requirements in regards to HIPAA, NIST, which is more government related, GDPR, which is a new regulation for any companies that do work over in Europe, and also FINRA, which is in line with finance and financial institutions. Who we are. So CMIT Solutions as an organization started off as a company that was started off by a lady who, the name of the company was Computer Moms IT. It was over 20 years ago in Austin, Texas. And she went to an incubator, and at that incubator, they taught her how to franchise the organization. And so that's kind of how CMIT was born. We took off the Computer Moms piece because, nobody wants their mom working on their IT systems. And so now it's just CMIT Solutions. And this organization had been started again over 20 years ago, but we have been in business since 2018. And I'll give you a little bit background on how we got started and how I purchased CMIT Solutions. Well, my background is electrical engineering. I was working as an engineer supporting an organization in both North America and Latin America for their data centers. And during that process, I realized, and I may talk in basketball terms, is that I was a triple threat. A triple threat is somebody that is Black, gay, and also a woman. And when I looked at people in my field that were a part of senior leadership, I didn't see many that looked like me. And so I thought to myself, how was I going to create an environment that was sustainable and that would allow me to be able to utilize my skill set in the long run without really keep hitting that glass ceiling. And so while I was supporting these data centers in North America and Latin America, I saw that there was a gap where whenever we would go in and do work, the IT systems, the switches and things will always go down. And supporting a Fortune 500 company, I said, there has to be a gap in this solution for small and medium-sized businesses that I could possibly fill. And so that's when I decided to say, okay, I combed the different organizations, I combed different things, even from starting from scratch. And that's where I found CMIT Solutions. So I purchased the territory here in Texas and expanded into Oklahoma. CMIT Solutions as a franchise has over 200 locations across the US. Okay, and we most recently became just as a franchise organization, just hit $100 million as an organization with all the combined franchise in our sales and support of different networks. What I found is that I can go door to door and get new customers. But what I found was with CMIT Solutions, since it's been around for 20 years, a lot of the owners have re-upped. It's a 10-year agreement. And then they have re-upped and now they're ready to retire. And the best way for us to grow is through acquisition. And so we are in the process of working through the different owners and acquiring their locations in order for us to grow organically, to grow the business. And there's 5 seconds left, I believe. That quick. Felt like 2 minutes.
If you want to finish your final thoughts, Bria, go ahead.
Okay. Well, what I was just going to say is that they're mostly ready to retire, and the opportunity for organic growth is there, and it's easy, it's seamless because we share the same ticketing systems internally, and so the back office infrastructure is the same, and the opportunity for organic growth makes it seamless and makes it easier for us to do across the network.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Bria. Kate, would you like to go first?
Sure. Thank you so much. Bria, so cool to meet you. I would not consider you a threat at all. You're awesome. I love the story of CMIT. I wonder if a couple things maybe that I'd point out. So I got a little confused at the beginning of you telling us about the company, and then I felt like maybe the story of how it was born and bred and how you got into it should be moved to the front. To tell more about yourself and kind of the history of the company. But again, I know it's only 5 minutes, so it's hard to pull all that together, but it probably needs to be a little bit more concise. I love the idea of the computer moms and how nobody wants, actually, I loved all your little jokes, but how, you took this computer moms out of it because nobody wants your mom in your IT business. So, but like putting that at the beginning and talking about how that was the company in itself was started from the ground up and why that mattered to you when you were searching for an opportunity to start your own business. I'm not, although my teams do procure technology, a lot of it goes way over my head. So you'd be pitching this to people that are way more versed in your services than I am. Mm-hmm. So maybe it would make more sense to them, but just make sure that the audience is the right audience to be presenting to. And then the last thing I would share is I'm not sure what you're asking for. Mm-hmm. Right. So I didn't know, are you asking for money so that you can purchase up some of these people that are retiring? and you could then kind of acquire their franchises and incorporate them into your business so that you can organically grow. I think that's what you were after, but you never stated that. You never said, here's how much, here's how many companies I'm targeting, and here's what it's going to cost for me to acquire them. And I've got this plan to do so over the next 3 years. And so I think you just need to put a little bit more thought and intentionality around what you're asking for. And then, like I shared before too, just making sure you're actually asking for it. So nobody goes, well, what do you need from me? Right. That's a great story. Thanks, Bria. So that would be my feedback to you. I think it's a really cool business. I've never, because I've never known a technology solutions company similar to yours that's a franchise like that. So it's really interesting.
Thanks. I appreciate that, Kate. I deleted those slides.
Oh.
I did because I realized that this is recorded, right? And so that actually kind of hurts my competitive advantage.
Fair enough.
So I actually deleted those slides, but the ROI is 5 years. And I do a 60 to 40% split. So it would have to be like, I look at the monthly recurring revenue, and 60%, if 60% of the monthly recurring revenue is overhead and I have 40% to play with, then typically within CMIT Solutions, the owners are not looking for one lump sum and run away. What they're looking for is recurring income over a 5-year or 7-year term. So my ask will be to assist with that one upfront down payment, which, is not typically not large. It depends on how long they want it to be stretched out, right? And I give them the one-time payment, and then their monthly payments toward their purchase comes out of the revenue. So I do a 20% split of the 20. So I do 40-60% split. 60% is overhead they already have, and I probably can get away with utilizing my existing team for that 60%. Right. So it increases my profit. The 40% that I have left, let's say worst case scenario, I split that in 20%. 20% is just straight cash, organic growth. The other 20% goes back to the previous owner over a 5-year period or something like that. That way they get what they need as far as their retirement. And then the 20% we grow. And then the other 60%, really, my back office can support whatever's going on. The only thing I will have to maintain is the boots on the ground in that physical location, which will reduce my 60% overhead.
Yeah,
so,
makes sense. I can totally understand I promise I won't go out and try to sell it because I don't even know what you're selling, but but I can appreciate protecting yourself. We all have to do that. And, I think it's, makes a lot of sense for you to leave those out of here, but and I also can tell that you have the information and are ready to share it in very great detail if anybody asks. So thank you for that.
Yeah. Sorry for being over details.
No, I appreciate it.
Thank you, Kate. Jen, would you like to go next?
Yes, because I do come from the tech background, right? In the sense I'm from Insight Enterprises, Bria. And so I see and talk to a lot of different diverse suppliers. First and foremost, I love your background. It's awesome. And I also love the intro. Not a lot of vendors come forward with something that is automated, right? Or that is kind of a little bit of a story or a little bit of a comedy. So I also really appreciated that. I thought that the presentation overall was great. I would tell you that I agree with Kate, right, in the sense of having a little bit more about you and your involvement up front. At the same time, what my company would be focusing on is a lot of the information that's more specific to what you can provide, right? So I was looking at this initially a little bit like Kate, where it was like, okay, where are we headed? Are you headed where you're looking for funding? Or my head's going to go towards, are you presenting more to me because you want to join, right, a partnership with my company, right, for all that you're offering through those franchises, right? So I think personally that your presentation could go 2 different ways, right? I think you could have a presentation that is for, the financial aspects of what you are looking for, but I think you could have a similar presentation, right? Not the same ask, of course, that really is for someone more like me, where you're working to solidify partnerships, or you want to, get into a company like, Insight or like a CDW, et cetera. The only other thing I would mention is clearly a lot of credibility between how you're presenting your storyline and your slides. If you are already part of the NGLCC, and you are certified by the NGLCC, make sure you add that to your presentation. I didn't necessarily see the logos, and if you've got logos for any other certification that you have, it's super important. Anybody can look you up on the their website, but have it right there in their face, right? So they already have that security, knowing that you are certified and you've done a lot of the hard work already to be, beyond the awesome company that you are, but you have these certifications as well.
Thank you, Jen. I appreciate that feedback. It's really, really great feedback. And it's funny because I have to look up Insight, but we do have partnerships with companies like TD Synnex and CDW, right? But that's another phase of it that's more technical in regards to us partnering with due to the certifications. And we just got our LGBT certification last week. So
awesome. That's awesome.
New. And today we just finished our site visit for WeBank. So crossing our fingers and hoping that we get that one completed as well. So
we should talk. I know that's not what this is for, Jesse, so apologies, but we should definitely talk.
Okay, great. I'll definitely reach out. Appreciate that.
Awesome.
That is awesome. That's part of networking and coming to events like this, is organically things can unfold. And lastly, Sherry, would you like to share your feedback?
Sure. I thought, Bria, you gave an amazing presentation. You have such energy that it makes me want to do business with you. Like if I was a small to medium sized business, you seem like you get it. You'd solve the problem really quick. And the 24/7 service, how many times you doing something at 11 o'clock at night or on a Saturday, you're a small or medium sized business owner, and you're like, I love your taking the SH, like shit happens all the time, you're preparing something and, you panic and, and I probably am that mom that needs help, so I think it's like a great solution, and being likable and funny and real is a huge asset. People want to work with people that they know and like. I looked at it different. I would think it's Shark Tank, because you started getting into like ownership and acquisitions and things like that, and which model and 60/40, you kind of lost me on that. So I that Shark Tank really frustrates me. But that's my own personal issues. I don't have to, I digress. But when you presented, I thought you were talking to me, the small business or the medium-sized business. How can you help me solve problems? If I had a small, medium-sized business, maybe 5 people or 50 people, and it's not in IT, I would need a company like you. So I thought your presentation was talking to me, the small to medium-sized business owner, meaning the whole NGLCC business population of over 1,000 businesses. And I'm sure, 80% of the people need some IT MacGyver solution out there that, maybe that it's like a retainer where you pay one price. And I would like to know more about that, where you pay one price and you get X. So maybe there could be like, and it's affordable. You didn't talk about cost. So I would want to know about, can I afford that? Is this like, is it, for $500 a month, or is it $100 a month, or whatever that is, that, we get unlimited, or there's different models of that. Maybe you have unlimited package versus, we give you 30 problem solving things, 30 hours, some package that could be versatile to meet different levels of number of employees they have, how big the company is. So I had a question though. You mentioned that you have a back office. Do you train the franchise so that they like, is there like a training thing that no matter who they use, if you're selling all the franchises, the whole entity thing, can you talk a little bit about your training to ensure that the quality is consistent?
That's great. Great question. So that's more in line with what our technology stack is, right? So you have the standard technology stack that most people use. It's either Apple or Microsoft. And then you have some major players like the Cisco, Meraki, and different things like that. But our technology stack in regards to cybersecurity and our cybersecurity framework is typically the same. When there is some bespoke technology stacks that I use that we found that has been easier for our team to utilize. And typically when we have to go to a client site, for those specific technologies, we would support that, and we can do those remotely. But our standard technology stack, you know, where you would need a physical person on site, like my computer is not starting up, or there's a printer needs to be installed, or something physical hardware side, is all the standard technology stack. And we use the same ticketing system. So I put the ticket in, say, hey, the printer's not working. We need to go out there. We remote it into the system. It's not working. Then they can do boots on the ground. We call that almost like smart hands, where you can deploy a physical person to the site and they can go in and do the physical troubleshooting of it. So
yeah, I have one more question. So you talked about acquisition, the way you want to grow. So I'm assuming you're acquiring those businesses versus them being still in a franchise model. And if that's the case, could I select as the business owner that I want to work with one of you, like your ownership entity versus the franchise? Do you differentiate?
Yes. So the way CMIT Solutions works is through sphere of influence. So not, you know, even though you buy a franchise, and if you think about like a territory, we support across, so your sphere of influence. So I can support clients that will work directly with me and my team. And then if needed, you know, we can support them through the on-site local office that's there in that particular city or state. I will go back to training and mention that we have actually training that's happening for on-site for all of our technicians in the whole entire organization. We're on that standard technology stack next week in Denver. So we have annual training where the guys can all come in. We have virtual training, and we work a lot with vendors like Sophos, again, Cisco and things like that, where we have training for our teams to be able to get different certifications and Microsoft certifications so that everybody is up to speed on the different technologies.
That's great. So that would be my only feedback, would be to include a little bit about training, include about people want to work with you and your entity and the extension of the franchise. That would just be just some additional information that might be handy. And your packaging, pricing, something about pricing or options.
Okay, great.
Awesome.
Awesome. Thank you so much for the feedback. I appreciate everybody for your feedback. This has definitely been helpful. And then also being patient with being an introvert. So thanks.
I'm an introvert too, and you did fantastic. And I loved the jokes in the beginning too. Thank you so much for presenting.
I appreciate it. Thanks, everybody.
Yeah, of course.
Now I got to go calm down real quick.
Feel free. Go off camera if you need to.
Thanks.
Our next presenter is Liam Adair of Wholesome Healing Consultants. Liam, are you ready to screen share your presentation?
Yes, I am.
Awesome.
Let me grab. So I just go ahead and start, or when would the timer start?
Yep, the timer will start as soon as you start speaking. So whenever you're ready.
Okay. Alrighty. So, okay, I'm ready to start. Welcome to Wholesome Healing, where we provide corporate and private holistic mental health and wellness solutions. Question: who'd like to wake up tomorrow knowing that you could face and overcome any stressful situation? Well, unfortunately, that kind of thing just doesn't happen overnight. Similar to how we aren't born knowing how to speak English, we are taught the language. Well, we aren't born knowing how to overcome challenges. We learn those skills, and this is what Wholesome Healing can help you do. Greetings.
Hi, Lee. I'm sorry to interrupt. We can't see your presentation. Your slides aren't on the screen.
Okay. All right.
I just need to redo the screen share.
Okay. Okay. Are you able to see them now?
Perfect.
Okay. Welcome to Wholesome Healing, where we provide corporate and private holistic mental health and wellness solutions. Question: who'd like to wake up tomorrow knowing that you can face and overcome any stressful situation? Well, unfortunately, that kind of thing does not happen overnight. Similar to how we aren't born knowing how to speak English, we are taught the language. Well, we aren't born knowing how to overcome challenges. We learn those skills, and this is what Wholesome Healing can help you accomplish. Greetings. I am Lee Adair, author and the first Black transgender board certified holistic health practitioner here in the state of Texas. And as the CEO of Wholesome Healing, I want to share a few things with you. See, this kind of thing did not happen for me overnight either. I had to learn those skills myself before I recognized my own strength. And I crashed down and I tumbled. I was always hurting in silence. My mental health suffered, and following an on-the-job injury, which eventually caused me to lose that job, my finances were destroyed. I had absorbed so much negativity from my environment by way of food and human interaction. My challenges weren't so much in dealing with the people, the outsiders. My challenge was dealing with myself and how I absorbed and perceived the information they were feeding me about myself. So I had to decipher what was useful, what was truth, and what needed to be discarded. So this is how I learned how to walk in my truth. And my purpose is to help you and your organization excel in life by learning to walk in yours. So why do I do what I do? Well, we showed that 1 in 5 Americans suffer from mental health issues on a daily basis. Half of US adults with a mental illness, approximately 27 million, are battling without any form of treatment. So this means there's no medication, no life coaching, no psychotherapy, no form of pain management. So why should this matter to you? Well, $225.8 billion. According to the CDC, this is what employers in the US are losing each year due to unplanned employee absenteeism. So why are they calling in without notice? Well, due to a lack of mental health and wellness care. This increases the poor quality of products and services, which cost employers 20% of total sales. When you're not mentally present, you lack the care to adhere to safety protocol, and this costs $171 billion each year. These figures amount to one conclusion: loss of revenue. You suffer, your employees, your corporation, your investors, and your partners suffer. So what are the benefits of implementing our wellness plans? Well, we help you and your people develop healthier habits. And with proper guidance, you'll be able to maintain this, keeping you ahead of the competition. So I'm giving you more time from your employers, time back to your company. You'll have a healthier staff, meaning better productivity. So we also know that the Harvard Business Review assessed Johnson & Johnson, and it shows that they saved $2.71 for each dollar they invested in their employee wellness programs. And this saved them $250 million. So how can this be accomplished for you? Well, with Wholesome Healing through our customizable wellness workshops and training with coaching programs such as Art of Resilience, Flourish from Root to Flower, and our most recent 12 to 49 week program, Walk in Your Truth. I also offer hair analysis testing, a non-invasive nutritional assessment that provides us with over 800 data points. And this includes the vitamins and minerals you need to add into your diet. So this will accompany an individualized 90-day nutritional and energy health plan. This way, we can mark your starting point and have the ability to track your progress. You may add guided meditation, hypnotherapy, sound baths with singing bowls, Reiki, and yoga to your plan. So what sets Wholesome Healing apart? We offer a tangible means for you to measure your progress, and this encourages accountability and provides the extra push of forward momentum. Don't just take our word for it. See what our clients have had to say. Liam was incredibly knowledgeable on all of the holistic topics we discussed. We're lucky to have his practice in
30
Houston.
seconds.
And another plus, he is registered as an LGBT business with the NGLCC. And Shannon said, Liam made everything so easy. I could literally see what I was missing right in front of me and how to fix it. I made sure to get my wife one too. Next are my kids. So, are you ready? Let's get started today. Contact Wholesome Healing and reach my website at whliam.com. Thank you.
That was fantastic. Thank you so much, Liam. Sherry, would you like to share your feedback first?
Yeah, no, I always like listening to stories that overcoming obstacles and providing really good help to people. Holistic is a great area that is like low risk in terms of it's not drugs, it's a nice healthy way to and I think that's timing wise, now is the time. A lot of people during whole COVID and now, so it resonates. I think you have a good it was a good presentation. You were very uplifting and positive in your style, so that was really good. Let's see, I probably have a couple of questions. I like that you had data that you showed, like why it's important. I probably would want a slide, maybe it went fast, it was probably there. But what I would suggest is to have your logo on every page. So I think it should be part of your template to always have Wholesome Healing on every single page, the logo. And also I would do less animation. I would just have the slide up. So, because especially if you're presenting virtually, we hear the clicks. So I would just put it all up, and then we can, as some people are visual learners, so we can see it all, even though I realize you're kind of keeping it suspenseful and it's like going with what you're saying. But I think it would just put it all up, talk to the information. People like to read ahead, or they want their eye goes, can stay on something. So that would just be, these are very small things. I think you did a great job. I think the one area that I have a question about was, what exactly are you offering your potential customers? You presented a lot more about your service offerings. You mentioned, I don't know if you mentioned where you're located. Is it national? I think you said you started off on the slide, I think where you're located, but I didn't know if it's national in scope, who your target audience is, who you're trying to go after. So if you could speak a little more on those things. Either I missed it, and that's why if it was up there longer, maybe I would have captured it, or maybe I would have another slide on what are you offering, what and who's your target, who's your sweet spot. Is it small to medium businesses? Is it large businesses? How many FTE you have? So maybe you could talk a little bit about that.
Yes, and thank you, Sherry, for your feedback. So I do offer services nationally because they can be done virtually or remotely. I do offer them, of course, in person. With the hair analysis testing, which is non-invasive, that can be done remotely as well, but those samples would have to be shipped securely. And that would be, negotiated as far as the cost concerns. Now, I thought I had the animations turned off because I noticed that as well, where it would be a bit distracting. And that was some feedback I had gotten before. So I apologize for not having I guess, a head on that. But yes, definitely next time I will be sure to keep those animations off.
And who are you attracting? That's my last question. Who's your target audience? I know, you could do things virtual, it's national, but where's your sweet spot? Who do you see uses your services? Who's your ideal target audience?
Ideal would be small to medium-sized businesses, and that's due to the current staff. So if, of course, more business comes my way, I do have individuals that I'm able to partner with to bring on as those who have been certified in the exact same services, such as the hair analysis, to work with larger companies.
Okay, that's all I have.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Sherry. Jen, would you like to go next?
Absolutely. Liam, I will say first and foremost, I really felt your personality coming out in the presentation, and it's so calm, and I'm sure it's from your background, but I want to make sure that you can, you have that kind of feedback, right? You presented very strongly, whether it was at the beginning, even with the slide presentation, not necessarily working right away, all the way to the end. I could definitely feel your personality, and your presence was really calming. I also agree with what Sherry said, so I don't want to spend a lot of time on it, but branding is super important. And I do think that all of your slides from start to finish, right, the calming, from your logo to the colors that you're using, even the background of your book, like that is super consistent, but your slides, right, should be equally consistent all the way from start to finish, right? So it feels a little bit more seamless. At the same time, what I agreeing with Sherry from a target perspective, if you only have one target audience, or you have the biggest target audience being small to medium business, definitely right heading in that direction. Or if you think that you have kind of a little bit like Bria, there could be multiple targets, right? You could do a subset, right? Do a presentation for each of your targets. That's maybe a little bit different with clarity as to the why. The only other thing that I would mention, and I get it, it's the presentation is about bringing in more clientele, but your book is very interesting. It sits behind you, right? It's in your presentation, maybe more as a footnote, right, at the end of your presentation where someone could get your book. Because I was actually on my phone while Sherry was speaking, looking, where can I buy your book, right? So I think that'd be helpful to your audience as well.
Okay, thank you so much, Jen.
Sure
And
thing.
all of my books are available on Amazon.com. So just type in Liam Adair, Wholesome Healing, and you'll see all 4 of my books.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jen. And last but not least, Kate, go ahead.
Thank you. And thank you, Liam. I really appreciate the time and effort you put into the presentation, and an effort in an effort of not like piling on with the presentation. Just one thing that I'd suggest that I've found helpful in some of the things I do outside. I do some presenting outside, and I am not, I know what looks good on a PowerPoint, but I can't create it myself. And I recognize that that weakness in my own personal skill, but I also don't have a lot of time to go figure it out. So I've found that even I've hired an intern before. Those, some of the students that are fabulous at pulling together wild, like engaging presentations, and all I have to do is pay them a couple $100. They're in college, they just want, bar money or food money. And I just give them the material and they send it back to me, and I'm like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. I'm glad I didn't spend all this time trying to learn PowerPoint. So I would recommend, if you have an intern or have some some folks in your company, or just want to, if you're in Texas, I think is what you said, there are a lot of colleges there that you could just post even on the message boards, if they still have that in colleges, and offer people some, some money to come design you a good PowerPoint presentation, and they'll do it pretty reasonably priced. So rather than you try to figure out that, you have more important jobs to do, right? And that's the healing of people. And that is such a amazing thing that you're doing. And I love how you tied it to why and what happened to you, and why you felt the need to, you're not the only one that has experienced this. You share those stats that we all have heard skyrocket over the last several years. And I don't know, well, I think it's probably a combination of the environments and the things that we're going through as a world, but is also just more visibility into mental health, which, what a great time for you to then have this offering for people. I did wonder if there were, one other thing real quick. I love that on your very first slide, when you introduce yourself, that you say that you're the first, and I don't remember what you're the first of, but you're the first so-and-so in Texas, right? First African-American certified something or other in Texas. I didn't write down the specific words, but people are drawn to that. In my opinion, people are drawn to like those entrepreneurial spirits, those groundbreakers. They want to trudge the path with you, and it's exciting to them because they're working with the first ever, right? And so some people are really drawn to that. So don't gloss over that. I think it's really important to say that you're like, make sure that point sticks home. I think it was maybe it was Sherry that was asking about who your niche market is, and I did hear the small to medium sized businesses, but I also wonder if there's an opportunity for a specific type of employee, right? So it's kind of a niche offering to, I've heard, I think it was even on this call earlier, we shared the stat was shared about how mental health is even worse in the LGBTQ plus community. And so could you even further fine tune your niche while you are a small company to focus in on the health and wellness of the LGBTQ plus community, or another particular African-American community, or whatever community, to start building that business and then build upon it from there? That might be another option for you as well, versus going out with the big guys, right? And trying to offer these wellness plans that they have more people, they can have more national presence, those type of things. So just a thought there. But overall, I love the program. Anything to help address mental health challenges in our country is amazing. And so thank you so much for the hard work you're doing.
Well, thank you so much, Kate. And I did want to follow up. I am the first Black transgender board certified holistic health practitioner here in the state of Texas.
Okay, I say that with pride because that's amazing.
Thank you. I'm working on confirming in the United States, but it's through the American Association of Drugless Practitioners. So we are working to determine if that is throughout the United States, and I will be changing my title if so.
I hope it pans out.
Thank you. Thank you all.
That is fantastic. Thank you so much, Liam. Any final thoughts that anyone on the call has for Liam, Bria, or Jacob before we take a short break and we go into our next presenters? Any final thoughts from folks they'd like to share? Okay, great. We are going to take a short break. Why don't we come back in about 5 minutes? So 4:10, 4:11 Eastern time. Feel free to go grab your beverage of choice. I'm going to go get a seltzer water in the spirit of Sip and Pitch Friday, and I will see you all at 4:10. Thanks. Okay, welcome back, everyone. For those who might have joined late, my name is Jessie Grieve Carlson. I use she, her, and they, them pronouns, and I serve as the Manager of External Affairs and Affiliate Relations with NGLCC. Thank you so much for being here. We have 2 more presenters before the event closes out today, and I'm going to reintroduce our judges first before we get into our presentations. So judging today, we have Kate Goring, Manager of Administrative Services and Purchasing Category Management at State Farm Insurance. We also have Jennifer Marks, Senior Program Manager of the Supplier Diversity Program Office at Insight Enterprises. And we also have Sherry Shafir, Director of Supplier Diversity and Procurement at AMC Networks. Thank you all so much for joining us today and volunteering to be our judges for Sip and Pitch. To reiterate our rules real quick, each person has 5 minutes to present their pitch. We have a timer on the screen. You'll see the little timer block that'll be pinned right there. You can see it. Lauren will give you a warning at 1 minute and at 30 seconds. If you don't have a PowerPoint presentation, no problem at all. This is informal and it's meant to give you feedback on your company's pitch. If you're not speaking, please mute your microphone. And most importantly, have fun today. This is a judgment-free zone. It's designed to help you enhance your pitch and grow your company. And this is all shared in the spirit of collaboration. So thank you all for having the courage to present to our audience and our judges today. Our first presenter now will be Luke Lennon of Namesake. Luke, go right ahead.
Cool. I'm gonna share my screen. Cool. All right. Well, thank you everybody for being here. My name's Luke Lennon. My pronouns are they and he, and I'm the founder of Namesake Collaborative, where our mission is to reduce barriers to lived equity for trans and non-binary folks through affirming and accessible technology. So our autonomy as trans individuals is really critical to our success, our livelihood, and our survival. At Namesake, we aim to be the go-to platform for identity management for the LGBTQ community, starting with the legal name and gender marker change process. Why? Because 68% of trans folks have not updated any of their IDs and legal records with their accurate names and gender markers. And only 1 in 5 have successfully updated all of them. It's an outdated, paper-heavy process with lots of barriers, no matter what state you live in. And at the same time, not updating them can have really serious consequences. 1/4 of all trans folks, for example, report being harassed, assaulted, denied just services or benefits after presenting an ID that didn't match their gender identity. And I can speak from personal experience on that one. Not just that, but your name is everywhere. The ripple effect of this process can have serious implications on many other important aspects of one's life, financially, health-wise, the list goes on. For instance, for me, last year, I tried to buy a used truck. And when I tried to take out a car loan, no lender could identify me, even though I knew I had good credit. And it was then that I realized I was credit invisible or credit thin due to my name change. Whereas for me, this meant that I couldn't buy a truck. I know there are many scenarios in which this situation could be life-altering for many. And even more foundational than that, your name means so much more, especially when you're trans. So trans health tech has really proven that technology can be used to better serve our community. But the fact is, our needs extend beyond healthcare. Not every trans person wants to change their name or has to change their name, but for those that do, it's an important part of their journey. So Namesake is leading the next wave of LGBTQ technology for consumers and the companies that serve them. Our solution allows users to legally update their name and gender marker on all of their government documents, so Social Security, passport, and state ID or license, and then track and manage their name everywhere else it matters, from your bank to government assistance to health insurance, you name it. As companies look to advance DEI initiatives and provide inclusive support to their employees and customers, trans-centric benefits are increasingly in focus. We're actively in discussions with forward-thinking partners in order to provide Namesake to their employees or customers, because we know that identity management is behind in meeting the needs of fluid and evolving identities, and we're here to help. After all, over 5% of young adults age 18 to 29 identify as trans or non-binary, and that's 3 times the rate of the general population and growing rapidly. And over 40% of the US population knows a trans person. So if companies want to stay competitive, they must demonstrate a commitment to this growing segment of the population, especially in light of ongoing attacks to our community. Now, we're early in our journey, but since last year, we've engaged in a paid pilot with the Massachusetts Trans Political Coalition, one of the oldest trans-led advocacy organizations in the country. And we're currently in a closed beta in the state of Massachusetts to test out this concept.
1 minute.
Focused on marketing exposure, community building, and partnerships. Most recently, we secured a $25K investment in cohort spot in the Visible Hands Accelerator for 2022, as well as the Own It program. So to close, at Namesake, our name is much more than a name. We're looking for capital investment and pilot partners to help us reshape identity management so that the LGBTQ community, especially my fellow trans and non-binary folks, don't get left behind. I'm Luke Lennon. Thank you for your time.
That was amazing. Thank you so much, Luke. Kate, would you like to go first?
I'd love to. Thank you so much, Luke. You know, when I was I have 2 daughters and a son actually, but the girls are getting older in college, and I remember hearing the statement that you'll likely be doing a job that doesn't exist yet, when we were talking to them as kids. And this is one of those things I can never like pin my, put my finger on, like, what is that job then? Who knows what it is? With what you're presenting here, it tells me that there was a problem and you sought to find a solution that didn't yet exist, which is amazing. And I think a lot of capital partners that are looking to invest in entrepreneurs are looking for just that. They're looking for somebody that went after a problem that there was no path forged yet for, right? So you thought through this need of, how do I fix this problem that's so prevalent, and something that many people don't even realize that the trans community faces. And when you talked through, so I'll share this. I could have used more on your story. I loved the truck story, but I think you could build upon that and what it felt like personally to you when you were going through that scenario. Because it wasn't, I don't think the hard part for you was, the hardest part probably wasn't the fact that you walked away without the keys, right? It was more the humiliation, the frustrations of having to go through this process to just buy a vehicle when you had worked your whole life to maintain good credit. What did it matter what your name, how the paperwork showed up, right? So I think if you build more on those frustrations and how the humiliation and like what really drives that inner passion in you to fix this problem, I think that could really add a lot of personality to the story, and really draw people in, draw their heartstrings into, because that's really what matters. Let's see. I was going to say about when you talk about serious consequences, I also think, when we talked about some stories, there's probably some other things too, not just a story for you, but maybe a story of success that you've been able to help somebody in your company already, right? And I know you said you're fairly new, but I'm guessing there's probably a success story somewhere out there that you can share as well. I loved the slides. I thought they were very professionally put together. I thought they were simple enough. They were concise, and there wasn't a lot of fluff to them. It really got to the point. I particularly liked the one that had your partnerships. You always want to tell people who you're doing business with if you can, because they don't want to be left out, right? If they see somebody like a competitor or something else, they're like, well, I need to be in there because so-and-so's in there too. So I loved how you started out with your mission and the vision of the company, and would like to hear more about, maybe in the end, about what you plan to do with those capital investments, maybe in a little more detail, what your plans are to expand beyond where you are today. So with that, again, super, super exciting, great work. Thank you for what you're doing. It's really meaningful work, so I appreciate it.
Thank you. Yeah, and I do have a slide on what the capital would be used for, but that more investor focused, but yeah, happy to share hiring and product growth for sure.
Awesome.
Thank you, Kate. Jen, would you like to go next?
Sure, I'd love to. What an offering, right? I was blown away by the not creativity is not the right word, the value, right, that you bring, Luke, to such a large group of people that really need guidance and help that they didn't have before. And what I thought was equally as important as what Kate had shared is your story, and having a little bit more of your story just to kind of draw in people, I think would be super helpful. What I think is very impactful too for the larger community that you're trying to reach is to kind of blow up your impact slides, right? A little bit more, right? And I'd put them at the front end, right? All of the great work that you're doing. So you're drawing in people with real time, real life stories, and then heading with, here's what we've done in the short amount of time, right? That we have been in business. This is what we've done, and make that, a huge part of the story, because the impact was felt in the slides. It's just, I think you could probably split them in two and go in a little bit more detail about it, so that when you're ending the presentation and you're ending the presentation with, financial assistance, right? You've got a lot of substance behind it. I also, just from a subscription perspective, even though what your end result is getting financial backing, a little bit more information, because I saw, right, I took notes, right, there's 2 subscriptions. I'm having a little bit more information on what those are, even if that's not necessarily for the financial investors necessarily, but a little bit more information on what you are doing to service those that you are bringing in under your corporation. But all in all, I thought it was wonderful. And I really thank you for your service. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for the feedback.
Thanks, Jen. All right, Sherry, go right ahead.
Yeah, like right away, I was hooked, like hearing what you're doing and your mission and the value, and that it's offering and filling this need, this gap is really an emotion. For me, it's like an emotional thing. And I think that I love that you talked about the financial, and you gave a real life example that happened to you personally, being denied a loan. And and I agree with Kate, and it's really about was it Kate that was, I think it was Kate that said the thing about, the emotional, expanding on the emotional aspect. So I see this as like maybe 3 major issues: the financial, being denied, and the like awkwardness of that, but also the pain in the butt that you're there to make an important life decision. It could be groceries, or it could be a house, or whatever you're buying, and you get denied because something doesn't match. The complication, streamlining, making things easy for people, streamlining it. They pay one price, or they pay for a service, and it's all this package deal is done for them. So like all these elements are cleaned up and simplified. And then the third element for me is the emotional, the de-stressing, the emotional benefit that you're like reducing all that stress and anxiety. Sometimes people just don't want to deal with things. It's so to have somebody else take the burden off them. And I think that's stuff that you can really highlight, like as 3 or 4 major pillars of what, because you don't know what's going to resonate with people. Could be all 4, obviously, and it could be one thing over another. People don't want to have the conversation, they just don't want to deal with it because it's just so uncomfortable for them emotionally. So I mean, I'm going to stay away from the Shark Tank related stuff, the investment topic, but my question for you was, are you looking for, like, how do you advertise right now? Where do you find that you're getting the most business from? Is it online? Is it through NGLCC? Is it through word of mouth? Is it through social media? How are you reaching customers to tell them about your service?
Yeah, so currently it's really grassroots because we are piloting it primarily in Massachusetts. That being said, channel partners have been huge. So, there are existing supports often in like nonprofits, and we're also helping, those because the demand is so high that not all folks can be served, in quickly and efficiently. And so this technology is also helping some of our channel partners in that way. And so we're reaching more folks. But in the long run, we're hoping to have this provided as a benefit to employees. So going through corporates to offer this as a way to support trans and non-binary employees and retain talent.
So I would include that in your presentation. I think it's really important to plant the seed on what's possible. So I know you're only doing it in Massachusetts. I don't think is there any legal or reason why you couldn't help somebody in Texas or California or anywhere else in the 50 states? I'm just asking hypothetically.
Yeah, no, processes differ state to state, but we're actively looking to expand, which is why we've decided to raise capital at this point. Okay,
so if right now the scope is Massachusetts, let's say, because that's like you dot the I, cross the T, that's where you're the expert at that in that state. I would definitely include in a presentation as an employee benefit of all companies, either that have an office, headquarters, or satellite office or whatever, that this is something, you don't know who's listening to your presentation. I think that explaining those things, not just talking about investment, but also you don't know if somebody also could pass that off to their benefits department and get that. So I really love that idea. I think that's terrific. That's just another way that people can feel valued as an employee and increase retention. And retention's a big issue with corporate America and people changing jobs and whatnot. So feeling valued and themselves, bringing their whole self to work. So great job, Luke. I really love your presentation. It was fabulous.
Thank you. Yeah, it's a win-win in my eyes. So I'm happy to talk with any benefits or HR folks out there. So yeah, thank you. I appreciate the feedback from all of you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Luke. That is so needed. We have one final presenter this afternoon, Maddox Gorilla of Our Alternatives. Maddox, take it away. Do you have a presentation that you need to share or no?
I do not, no.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah. So hi, everyone. I'm Maddox. I use he, him, and they, them pronouns. I am a social impact visionary from the Bronx, New York City. So I'm also Caribbean, plant-based remedy and healings is in my blood. And I live in New York City where food deserts, food apartheid, we're always dealing with that. So I'm a co-founder of Alternatives, an herbal bodega providing access to plant-based remedies and healthy alternatives. So let's talk a little bit about the problem and the opportunity, right? We're living in a digital world and a digital time. And sometimes, there's this concept of greenwashing where we don't actually know if a product is actually as green as it's saying it is, or as healthy and sustainable as it's saying it is. So I want to introduce to you Alternatives digital interface called Remedy. So Remedy is where online plant-based bodega meets AI. We got State Farm in the building. So like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Well, like an amazing grandma or older sister, Remedy is there. Remedy embodies that grandma, older sister love of being there for you with the right answers at the right time. With AI implemented into the experience of the app, let Remedy guide you to your needs, straight to your doorsteps. Have a headache, let Remedy choose the right remedies for you. You no longer need to Google what you should do about that hangover. Let Remy help you find the right remedies for you. So we have a part of Remedy also specializes in catering and delivery services available for your corporate office snack bar, or you can fill your hotel bar with healthy options that optimize your mind and your body. So, AMC, you can upgrade your snacking options through our corporate conscious snacking package, having plant-based snacks on sets to keep up with the new culture of healthy living. One of the things I'm big on the nonprofit world, I've worked in the youth homelessness space for very long. So Remedy also has a social impact branch that partners and amplifies with plant-based and conscious companies to provide donations to LGBTQ and homeless youth-led organizations. Remedy specializes in finding and providing the most naturally sourced and sustainable products through our digital interface. You know, inside enterprise, you can collaborate with us and bring this vision to life and avoid all the greenwashing and stick to remedy the truth. Thank you.
I love that. Thank you so much, Maddox. Jen, would you like to go first?
I would love to. Thank you. Maddox, you can never go wrong with leading in snacks. But so that's what I wrote down first was snacks. I would like to learn more. So what would be, from the wholesale look at your company, what are all the options? So snacks is what I wrote down. But does that start and end with snacks? Is it moving into supplements? Is it other options that are closer to like beauty slash body care, right, type of options? Like, what is the wholesale view of what you're offering?
Yeah, so anything that, like, thinking about anything like lifestyle, like you said, when we think about skin products, products that we put on our body, and also products that we consume internally, like providing the green, like healthy options. So I don't know if folks are familiar with EWG certification. Is this website that actually, you know, informs folks on how toxic a product actually is. So we would kind of like already through the data and the interface have that, like, pick the products that are like green. They use like a red, yellow, and green metric to like how bad is it. So we would really focus on the products that are green and highlight those products on the website. So instead of you having to like search through like Uber Eats or GoPuff, right? Like there's just one place that has all the green things you need already as certified. And on top of that, that's like the interface service with the IA kind of finding it for you if you need to supply it for, you know, hair, body, sleep. But then there's also offerings for corporate or hotels, right? Where folks have snacks, like, you know, hotels are usually like a snack bar. They can hire us to bring healthy snacks. So you don't have to like look for different places. You'll just hire us directly. You know, like AMC was here. So I thought about, well, you know, a lot of times folks need food on set, or even when you send people like welcome packages for like a pilot or something, they send stuff, like you can like hire us to make sure that you're getting the most green organic products that are actually healthy, not just greenwashing and saying that, but the research is done behind it.
Right. No, and I appreciate the clarity, right? Because that's what I was looking for, is to kind of understand, what does the scope look like for your offering? Clearly, you know, greenwashing is right a hot topic for everyone right now. And, you know, it's going to be super important for what your offerings are to have those easy to spot logos, right? So that everybody understands, right? This is USDA certified, or whatever the logo may be. So very important when people are making their choices. I very much appreciate your energy and being very clear right at the beginning of what the overall problem is, right? And starting into the opportunity. So I appreciate the clarity on really, you know, kind of blowing up what the true opportunity is across the board for your entire offering. I think that you know, from where we are today, and like whether it's in our own self-care journey or what we're trying to offer, right, from a corporate perspective, when we're looking to bring forward, you know, whether it's snacks or care packages or whatever it is for our employees, it's important to have alternate options, right, to what is kind of the standard out there. And so many more people are taking care of themselves differently than they were a couple of years ago. So the bodega aspect of it is really appealing for how you describe what this really is, right? From all natural to really being something that is, you know, with your grandma, your auntie, or what is really kind of at the core of this, to show how authentic, right, your product lines are meant to be. From a go forward perspective, what does it look like for you as far as building out your AI? So you've talked about it as kind of a general pitch. Is that where you are kind of in your journey of what comes next, is building out the AI, just so that I have that clarity as well? Or where are you at in your journey overall?
Yeah, I'm gonna be very honest with you all. This is all I I was thinking about like right, like herbal bodega for me, that's what I've been doing, right? Selling plant-based products through markets. But I was thinking like how I'm an innovative person by design. So I was thinking, how do I bring innovation into my brand? And I thought about the digital opportunity. So I thought this is like a whole new thing. So it's very fresh, it's very new. And I think like even the fact that the people who are here today as the judges was interesting, right? Because you work at Insight Enterprise where you do kind of work with AI, right? So like the vision for me is like when I used to do this in person, I was consulting with people and saying, oh, this is what you should do for a headache. This is what, so removing that away from me and creating like an AI, like Remedy, right? That she kind of does that for you on the app. So if you type in headache, all of like, hey, you should stay hydrated, drink this, you should take this other thing for that, right? Like that it kind of hits the points for what you need. That's kind of like what I think, like a very like interactive, kind of like Siri, right? But like for the app for Remy D, like that, you know, she's helping you find that. And then that's her energy, that's her vibe, like grandma, auntie, sister vibe. But it's all very fresh, very new. I need we need co-conspirators to help us build.
I love the concept. I think it's super creative, and I appreciate your energy, and I appreciate, you know, what you're bringing forward from your background to your location to what you want to bring to the masses. So I thought it was a really great pitch.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, Jen. Sherry, would you like to go next?
Yeah, so you have, you know, I love your background, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
You know, it's always good whether you have a 2-minute, if you have an opportunity, if someone asks for a 1-page capability statement or they ask for a 5-page slide, these are common things. So it's just, I think it could have been, it was very clear, you know, and you talked about plant-based. I'm going to go into that in a second, and health and all that. So everything you're saying resonates. When you have a presentation physically to show a couple of slides, it gives you kind of, oh yeah, you know, it exists. Like it has a, you know, and people can follow along what you're saying. It just, you know, people are visual learners, you know, versus auditory learners. So I think it's like anytime you have an opportunity to pitch, and you know, again, I don't know if this is too new or you don't have a slide presentations. And someone said earlier, I don't remember if it was Jen or Kate, that you could have an intern even for free. They could, I mean, people were generous, so 100, my kids work for free, I don't know, but you could get for 3 days a week, whatever the rules of engagement. I think in New York City, you can have an intern and not pay them at all. And they could get college credit, for example. They need to be a student. So there's all kind of ways if you're on a low budget to manage that, but you could have someone do a presentation for you. I think that would have been like good in case someone missed something hearing it. They could also see it. When you mentioned plant-based, like my ears perked up because there's a whole move to be more vegan, to be more vegetarian, especially on college campuses. And universities, for example, have food service like Chartwell does NYU's food service. And so partnering maybe to deliver to universities, they're not going to buy it maybe directly, but you may want to go through, you know, that second tier model where it's the food service, you're partnering with them to sell them products if you're making the products yourself. And I'm kind of not 100%, I'm not sure if you're making them or you're just a distributor. So could you explain that a little bit? Are you a middleman?
Yeah, I'm thinking about being more of a distributor. Like I think at some point in the future could delve into making our own products, but I think right now is more so of like being a distributor, like having like a base for this place and like making sure that anything we do have to offer is research. And like I said, is like we really want using like the EWG standards, like things that are on the green side, like, you know, not red or yellow, but like really as much as possible, things that are as clean as they can be and like stay authentic to that.
Okay, and did you say how long you've been in business, or do you have current customers, or is this still in like incubator stage?
So the alternative business, we had customers before. We were doing, like I said, like markets in person, vending like that. But kind of took a pause and now trying to in that pause, reassessing like the direction of it. So in trying to go digital, coming about this idea, which is all very fresh, very new. But I figured, why not pitch it? Like, let's keep going, keep the momentum going and see what information I get and what potential collaborators are out there right now to make this vision come to life.
Okay. Well, it's just interesting, the universities have a need for, sustainability and green and how things are packaged and, carbon footprint, how things are shipped. If it's more of on a local, you kind of lose your sustainability carbon footprint thing if you're shipping it far away. So it's like, the model of how it's being distributed is important. I liked your idea with the production sites. But again, I need to have something tangible. It's just air right now. So for me, representing a corporation, they're very conservative. They do, your financials, that you're more than maybe one person and one FTE, all those things are variables. So it would really help to have more like a physical document. That's why I put in the chat to send me like a one-page capabilities. Maybe it's not ready now, maybe it's something 2 years out, but I gave you my email address. That's really like all I have. I'm kind of more of a visual learner and note taker. So I was trying to listen and write and do things, and I need that third element of like visual to really digest it. It says our alternatives, but you mentioned remedy. So I was a little confused about what the name of your company was. If there's multiple things, you started talking about hangovers, then you went to AI implementation. So I was a little bit confused. And I think if I visually had like some kind of graphic to help me guide my brain, and that could be like my deficit, so those are just some tips I have. But I thought overall your passion comes through, and I think that you have something there. It's just a matter of, maybe getting a mentor through NGLCC could be an opportunity. There's some really great mentors like, I don't want to name names, but there's a lot of great people out there that maybe also are experts at food. And so maybe a food company might be able to take you under their wing.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I definitely need all the support and mentors, right? Like I have the idea, but I need like the experts in those fields, like in the AI tech field, all of that, like you said, the marketing, all of that support. So if you have folks send them my way, I do have a question for you real quick, Sherry. Earlier on, you mentioned about corporate companies and how they have specific funds to tap into. So you named a word. You said Berg.
Berg. So Bergs are business employee resource groups is what we call it at AMC Networks, but some people call them employee resource groups or business resource groups. They made a contraction, call it Bergs, but like both. They couldn't agree on a B or an E, so they made it both. So those are groups made up of employees. Every company, most major corporations have multiple ones that are employees that get together that align with business, but they also align with personal interests. So you could have like an African-American employee Berg, where you don't have to be a Black employee, but you have a passion for whatever are the hot topics needs, whether as an employee, what you want to do for the community. So it's internally and externally facing. And if you're a 501c3, which is a type of not-for-profit, there's monies are often aligned as part of donations. It's seen as I think it's more tax friendly, like tax write-off friendly, to give money to 501c3s. They're set up in a certain way. So that funding typically goes to 501c3s. And they still make money, 501c3s, but there's a lot more to it than that. And I'm a little more knowledgeable than Shark Tank, but not by far.
Yeah, no, that's helpful though. Thank you.
Okay.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Sherry. And I love that you mentioned the mentor, because part of the Own It program, which all of our presenters just went through, part of this is giving them trans, and gender expansive business owner mentors as part of the program too, which we match people up with. And also NGLCC has our own mentorship program for any business owner, which is currently open for applications. If you're looking for a more long-term program, we have that as well. Kate, I think you still have to go, correct?
I do, and I won't take too much time. There was just a couple things because I agree with what Sherry and Jen shared. I think the idea, and the whole purpose of this, as I understood it, was just come with an idea. I mean, you can have been in business for 10 years, or you could be fresh off the streets, and that's kind of where I would put you in that bucket. The one regret I have, Maddox, is I was just in New York City and I didn't know about the bodega, or I would have stopped by and said hi. So so I think the idea is fantastic. You're hitting it at the right time because of I hear more people talk about plant-based diets and the things that they can do on a natural scale far more often than we did 10 years ago. And so I think the timing is superb. I love, from a pitch perspective, I don't think you knew that I was going to be from State Farm and Sherry from AMC and Jen from Insights. So I love how on the fly, from a pitch perspective, you were able to work in some things about our organizations. I think that helps to connect with the people. You even knew our slogan and kind of, brought that in. So that also perks your ears up. And so I do love that. You did a really nice job with that. So I think you just have, you're the early stages, taking advantage of those mentors that are offered to you. The other thing I'll share from a State Farm perspective, as we do work through, Sherry mentioned the universities working through food services. A lot of corporations do as well. So it wouldn't be like you'd come to State Farm and offer us these snacks or this tool. It would be more working through the person that we do our food services with. So kind of focus your effort on those food service organizations, and you'll probably hit more people because they can then bring it not only into State Farm, but everybody else that they do business for. From an ERG perspective, we do call them ERGs, so employee resource groups. And we've got each one of them is aligned by a demographic, but they're not intended to only be the members aren't intended to only be of that demographic. So I'm a member of the Pride ERG, as well as the Minority Men's ERG, as well as one that I do align with is our Women's Network, which, I'm a woman. And so you can pick and choose which ones you want to be a part of. The really cool benefit that State Farm offers is that each ERG gets to nominate people or things to be included in our good neighbor, what do they call it? Now I'm not going to have it offhand, but essentially people can apply for grants. And then the ERGs are involved in the review and the support of the people that that submit the ideas for grants, and it's open to the whole country. So you kind of watch for it. And I wish I had the timing for you. If you could shoot me, or maybe if we'll get your email address or something, I can shoot you a note of when the timing will be, and watch for that, because it's a $25,000 community grant, and it's really there to help organizations like your own try to get off the ground, or even some that are already doing good things but they just need a little extra funding to get that money every year. And the reason I mentioned the ERGs is because the ERGs help nominate these people. Once we get thousands of them, right? So we'll get 3,000 submissions, and then the ERGs review them. And so if you're part of, I would imagine our Pride group is looking for supporting the organizations that are of the LGBTQ plus community. So I tell you all that. So feel free to shoot me your email, and I'll send you some information on when that program will be hitting the internet, so that you can make sure to get applied. And that applies to all of you. So anybody else that's interested in sending me their information, I can send you some information on when we're gonna post that next time. It's once a year. So.
No, thank you. I appreciate that. I appreciate all of you. And I'm also wondering, could we reach out to you for any advice or any partners you may have that we could connect with that can also, Jen, how you work in tech, and there's an AI side of this. So learning more about that world, just following up on those kind of things, as this is really fresh and getting it off the ground for me, if that's possible. Just curious.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you're welcome to connect with me. I'm on LinkedIn, and so feel free to connect with me out there. And I won't speak for the others, but I'm always looking to connect with different people that are in different fields. So feel free to do so.
Yeah, I provided my email. So if you want to, maybe when your proposal gets more baked and what you can actually tangibly offer, The production is something maybe of interest, but we work with a food service company. So it would be handing you off to the food service, and, if that makes sense, I don't know where your scope is. If you're focusing on the East Coast, we could have something, in a West Coast location. So we need more specifics before I think you propose things. You need to know what, specifically what you're offering. People want maybe more concise, have more structure in place, I guess would be the advice before proposing things. It's great that you're asking questions and getting information, but you really want to have a proposal. You need to do your homework and research. It's not what you want to sell, it's what people want to buy. And if they already have a solution in place, it's going to be complicated to add you. So you might want to get an Aramark or a Sodexo as a mentor and see, because if you're targeting corporations, they're already using an Aramark or Sodexo, and they're not going to change their model for you. You need to adapt to, how could you be a distributor to those food service companies that are providing solutions to those corporations.
Well, awesome. Thank you so much. Oh, Maddox, were you going to say something?
Oh, I didn't realize I was on mute. No, I said thank you. That's super helpful. I appreciate it.
Awesome. Well, thank you all so much. This was fantastic. I loved learning about your businesses. All 5 of our presenters today were part of the Own It program, which is a entrepreneurial boot camp for trans and gender expansive business owners or aspiring business owners. And that is an NGLCC and TD Bank initiative. And we actually have Barton here, Barton Jackson from TD Bank. Barton, would you like to say hi to everyone before we close out?
Yeah. Hello, and I cannot be more impressed and happy and excited to see the stories that carry through from everyone who has presented, who participated in Own It. We're already looking at year 3 of the program, and the thing that I'm most impressed about, as far as a through line from everybody's presentation, is identity is in the business model, right? And a lot of people think that, I'm from a diverse marketplace, and oftentimes we'll minimalize that when there is a huge value and currency to it, because what comes from diversity often applies to more than one community. I know I asked everyone to go and listen to Braxton Fleming's pitch, just because from a informed experience perspective, all of a sudden it became more and more and more and more, and really everything here has applications, whether they're surgical or not, to multiple industries or multiple communities or multiple levels and verticals. And what I really loved about tonight, and just kind of getting to sit back and just watch and listen, is the interest and seeing the sort of soul meeting the meat, meeting the bones, meeting the flesh of everything that you've crafted and created. And I'm really excited to see where everyone takes their endeavors. And, while the program for cohort 2 is coming to an end, you always have me as a resource. You have the chamber and the community as a resource. And I kind of hope that this really hits the nail into the coffin in that sense, not, morbidly, but just from an analogy standpoint, that, there is a community here of like-minded business individuals who really believe in the investment that you've made, which will then get reciprocated. Businesses, while they may be transactional, they're also mission-based at the end of the day. So identity plays a critical part in that. Personal experience plays a personal part in it. And every single one of these pitches, I got personality and I got identity. And for me as a banker, if I can't tell who you are, I don't know, how to assess your risk if you came to me for lending. An investor isn't going to get to understand where you came to the conclusion that your business exists. If you are a nonprofit, a donor base may not understand how you became informed. So I'm really, really impressed. I'm very, very happy, and I'm very, very excited because I know that these endeavors are gonna carry forward. And as always, my door is open. Shoot me an email, give me a call anytime. I cannot thank Jesse enough for dealing with my neuroses for the past, no, I think it's technically 6 months in crafting year 2. She's really been a backbone to coordinating everything from logistics to helping support the content and getting things up to date with new with language and branding between the 3 organizations that sponsor this. And I can't thank enough the really thoughtful and impressive, and I know Sherry for years now, but getting to experience Kate and Jen, just like the active listening, the thoughtful consideration, the amazing, and personally, I think impactful feedback. This is stuff that folks can carry forward. And I can't thank you enough for carving out time, given your schedules. It's really passionate, and it's impressive, and certainly like priceless as far as I'm concerned. So thank you very much. Thank you for cohort 2 for sticking with us and going through this program. Like I said, I'm very excited because I know next year I'm going to be hearing stories, and probably before then, success stories. So, thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you so much, Barton, and thanks for being here. Does anyone have any final thoughts? Anyone from the audience want to share for any of our presenters before we close out today? Well, awesome. I so appreciate you all being here at 5 o'clock on Friday. And thank you to our judges for volunteering your time, taking the time out of your day. Please add us all on LinkedIn. Take advantage of the offerings that our judges have offered to you all in the chat here. Make sure that you follow up with those leads. That's so important. And please keep in touch. I'm so excited for you all and to get to see your businesses grow. And have an amazing Friday. Thank you all.